Yeah, I don't know. I was in the middle of a dream or something when I woke up, and so I haven't quite woke up yet. That's why I'm a little later today.
Well, thanks for hopping on.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Did you figure out? It's 2020, man. Did you figure out your life's purpose, or at least your next 3 months' purpose?
My next 3 months purpose? No.
Oh,
Um, Other than to become a skilled League of Legends player. No.
yeah, I've been seeing you talk about it a lot lately.
Yeah, I've been I don't know, doubling down on the just trying to become decent at it. Um, which I am. I'm not terrible at it. I'm decent at the character I play, anyways. So I guess that's kind of it. But I don't know, as far as a some sort of project or business or something. I don't know. I do know that I haven't coded for fun in a long time. So I tweeted that about last week, and
Do
um,
you feel more relaxed as a result? Less stressed?
maybe, yeah. You know, I haven't.
Do you feel dirty for not giving your time towards your career when you don't have to?
No, I haven't. I feel pretty good. I mean, for the last few years, I've been kind of on edge for most of the time, but I'm kind of in a pretty good spot right now. So not really too upset about things. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm still writing code as I talk to you.
No, that's all right.
I'm on this last function that I'm refactoring for this one file, and then I'll resume later on this evening.
Just make sure to increase the timeout to 30 seconds or something.
Man, that drove me crazy. And there's one dude on there. I'll say his name. His name is like Fyodor Sadukin or something like that. He's like European. No, he's not European because he works in Boston. So he's like one of these Stack Overflow gods, and I know it's him. I know it's him. Every time I ask a question, he immediately downvotes it or wants to close it out.
Hmm.
But the thing is like the dude is so brilliant that I can't say anything bad about him except for the fact that he doesn't realize how brilliant he is, and like he just needs to demonstrate some soft skills for people that are not on his level and will never be on his level. I know it's him. He never
Yeah.
liked me. He's never liked me. I don't know why, but like I ask a question, I know it's him. Anytime I ask a question, he'll either downvote it or try to close it out. In the case that he does answer it, half the time he answers it in a condescending way. So
Well, then he's not too brilliant, is he?
no, he is. I mean, there's certain people that you just, regardless of how they treat you, you have to respect their skill. And I mean, you can't hate on them. All right. He doesn't, I don't think he likes me for whatever reason, but the dude, he's a beast, man. So I can only learn from him and just tighten up when he does things that I don't like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, if brilliant is a good word for someone like that, though. You know,
What would
if
you
you
call
let
it?
your, I mean, just brilliant. You're letting your light shine, and that's not exactly letting it shine, right? That's trying to one up people, and
Is it, or is he just so annoyed with these peasant questions, or that they, as much as they try to articulate it in a reasonable manner on a public platform, is never good enough? Like, imagine playing basketball with like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, and you know that no matter how much you practice, no matter how hard you train, you will never ever be able to meet their standards when playing on the same team as them. And they'll probably remind you of that every single session you have with them. and they're just at a certain level that you can only appreciate having the opportunity to learn from them, regardless of regardless of them treating you like ish. So
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if would Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan and those guys be in a in a field that's meant for asking questions.
this is true, but I would argue that
I'm sure
in
if
a
Michael
way,
Jordan was sitting there, teaching a bunch of teenagers in a camp one day, he wouldn't be given a. I mean, he might press them hard, but he's not going to be a jerk about it.
so I think there was a player named Kwame Brown or something. I'm not really into sports, right? If I'm not the one doing it, then I'm going to cheer for someone else, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what's his name? Kwame Brown? I'm gonna butcher. Let me try to Google this. Kwame Brown, Wizards, whatever his name is. Yeah, this is him. There's rumors. Yeah, that's him. There's rumors that there's this straight out of high school player that was playing on the Washington Wizards, and Jordan was riding him so hard that he just had a meltdown on the court and just started crying during practice. And I say all this because, with certain like superstars, like you're not very rare unless you're like Miami or Golden State. It's very rare that you're going to acquire even half a team of superstars. And so I think the practice is you get your superstar and then you build a team around them, right? You build your support around them. And so I'm saying all this because you're saying, well, do you really ask people like questions, or do you already have a purpose? I don't know how you framed it, but when you have no choice but to provide support for somebody, I'm butchering this whole thing. I lost my train of thought. I quit.
It's all good.
I can't hate on him. I can only appreciate the help that he does offer, even though he does it kind of condescendingly, if that's a word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good that he does offer help, though. So maybe I don't know the whole context. I'm just saying that people that have an opportunity to help people, but are more willing to, rage on people. I don't know if they deserve the time of day. I mean, occasionally losing patience is fine, and maybe it's one of those situations, but I don't know. I've had that happen to me too. I've lost patience before, but never on Stack Overflow. I mean, it's not a this is your job kind of a thing. It's a hobby. So, anyways,
I just refactored this one file and reduced it from 182 lines to 138 lines. Proud of myself.
Pretty good job. 50 or so lines.
So I'm still not done lifting everything into Azure.
Dang.
I'm almost an expert at F Sharp's async library and how it interrupts with C Sharp. So I spent the majority of my mornings and evenings. I was at Denny's writing code last night, trying to get all this stuff refactored. I spent the majority of this time like just building in asynchrony, if I could say that, because who knows, maybe 3 years from now, I'll have 100 requests a second, and all of a sudden, the functions running on my server, they're all like bottlenecked because they're synchronous, and so I know that's an exaggeration, but if part of this is going to be my portfolio, and if all this fails, then I'll end up making all these repos public anyway. Then I should probably exercise discipline and do things the right way.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing.
Well, asynchronous tasks, I mean, they're confusing at first. They're not too bad. I noticed though that they use the async keyword, but they don't use await. Is that right? Did I see that in the code snippet you popped the other day?
They use the bang symbol.
The bang symbol, dang.
So they use one character to mean await. So, for example, am I able to share my screen from here? Yeah. So,
Of course, C# would do that. Damn.
you see my screen? Probably don't see it. Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I see. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I see something.
So you see like this bang right here?
Yep.
Exclamation point. That's called bang, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that means await. So whenever you see a return bang and then some line of code, it's return, await, and then whatever line of code. There's also let as well, which I mean, this isn't calling a asynchronous function, but if it were, then you would just put a bang on let, and the bang means await. So that's it.
So it means the expression that results ahead of this is a task, and that should be awaited before assigning into this thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Otherwise, it gets a task type, right? On a monad, task monad.
Yes. Well, so in F#, you get a sync type if you don't await it, or if you don't bang it. But if you're doing C# interop, then and you have your F# function, you have your F# async function pipe into a async dot start as task. Then only when you do that will your client to that function receive a task if you don't await it or bang it. I know that sounds really confusing, but I spent the whole weekend doing this stuff.
No, I mean that's just the way that all the stuff works. So yeah, I remember when it used to be. I remember a time when async await just was this confusing concept and everything, and now it's like second nature. But it's one of those things where there's definitely like a barrier to learning it. Like you have to understand the code that's going to be generated off of it or whatever. It's weird.
Yeah, well, you end up having to sprinkle all that ceremony on throughout the whole call stack for that particular server call. So I think that's where people get tripped up.
Yeah.
I had an interview yesterday for F# development. Whenever it's like clutch situations, like if I'm talking to a really hot girl, or if I see a really hot girl and I'll go ahead and like do a stranger approach, or I have like this company that I respect and it's like a lot of money on the line. And I'm like, yo, this is going to like unlock an achievement of mine in my career. I treat it like a video game, like unlock achievements. All of a sudden I get a speech impediment. Like I started stuttering. Like it always happens whenever there's some anxiety with people that for whatever reason I feel like I'm unworthy to engage with, and I don't know how to stop that. I mean,
I don't know.
If it's just a normal like Miami company or just a average company, like, or if it's just a average chick or whatever, I'm Scott Nimrod. Like, I don't care. Like, they're gaining from me, right? But if it's something that's like clutch and it's going to add value to my life, or at least to my evening, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just start becoming very, very conscious, and it just ruins my interaction. So I'll probably being hard on myself in regards to the interview that I had yesterday. But I clearly start stuttering, and I become like incoherent when they ask me some questions. I can't turn it off. I have performance anxiety, and I don't know how to like remedy that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There could be some therapy type things you could go into to help with that, or something. I know that when I get really, really excited about something in terms of work, or something where I am trying to explain something I'm really excited about, I can get to the point where I'm shaking like I'm freezing cold, and I can't stop like shaking. It's weird. But I don't know. I don't think there's any physical reason why that should happen, other than the anxiety of the moment, maybe. So I really don't know if there's any way to solve these kinds of issues without finding someone who's professionally diagnosed them, and gives you strategies for dealing with them.
Or just self-medicate and be inebriated or high for every interview or every stranger approach.
Yeah, well, that would do it.
That's the clutch. I don't think that solves the problem.
Well, just all you have to do is just interview with some really big tech weed company, and then if you get high beforehand, you're okay. So
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty big company. Um,
good.
yeah. And I mean, the questions that they were asking me was based off of all this back end stuff that I've been doing in Azure. Because I've been like struggling with certain things, I just kind of went into autopilot with a lot of the questions that they were asking.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
stuff helps out.
Well, maybe it'll work out for you.
Yeah.
When do you find out?
I don't know. This I I think I did well, even though I'm kind of disappointed in the way that I communicated or represented myself, because the more money people pay you, the more they expect out of you, especially when it comes to communication. Um, but to answer your question, so like yesterday was a phone screen in front of a tribunal, and I I think they're going to probably send me an invite to fly me in. Uh, if I give away the city, then it'll be obvious. But I think they're going to fly me in, and then they'll probably like just just ride me on architecture and on F sharp. I think I'll probably kill the F sharp part. It's the architecture part that there's still a lot for me to learn. Like security, I'll fail that miserably. Um, but when it comes to like defining or articulating certain like design decisions about, like they were asking me, they kind of drilled me on event store over using a relational database, and I know I did well with that. So it's essentially like vendors, like asking questions about vendors, whether it's Azure or AWS or relational databases or Kafka. Like they asked me about Kafka, and I don't know. I never done anything with Kafka. I've never even identified a situation where I needed to use it based on the type of work that I've been doing. And I was upfront with them saying that, in my career, I usually just work as a front end mobile developer. When I'm moonlighting, I do a lot of back end, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the reason why I can't really relate to some of the questions that you're asking, because that's not really my domain that I get paid to solve problems in.
Gotcha. Kafka. I haven't used that either. I would fail that question miserable.
Sounds like
Isn't that the guy who turned Isn't that the guy who turned into a bug? Wrote about turning into a bug.
I don't know.
Franz Kafka, and he was an existential anxiety, guilt, and absurdity. Kafka-esque. Yeah, he wrote, what book was it? Was it called The Metamorphosis or something like that? Yeah, The Metamorphosis, which was this, I can't even remember too well, but it was a book about this guy who turns into a bug or a spider or something like that. But I don't know why the what a Kafka, or what Kafka is from a standpoint. Connectors, stream processors, consumers. It looks a lot like a messaging system.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's known for doing hardcore processing of like messages per second. But I don't work with big data. Like, I don't have to deal with that stuff. We got to get you to take your passion and convert it into like code or some business. I was playing this game. So I've been hanging out with a lot of Asians lately, and I had my first hot pot. You know what that is?
I could make guesses, but no.
Hot pot is like, and I think it really is related to Asian culture. Is essentially a barbecue, except you trade in a grill for a pot with broth in it, and it has like partitions within that pot for the different members that are partaking in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw stuff in there, and you just keep eating and eating and eating.
Actually, I think my one of my old coworkers, when they were in Vietnam, had one of those. Is that like does a lot of seafood in it, or is it mixing beef and stuff like that? I assume.
In this case, it was there's a lot of seafood.
Yeah.
And the people there were Vietnamese, Chinese, and Japanese. I was the only black guy. I was the only non-Asian. It's cool though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I want to do with stuff. I don't know. Occasionally, I'll get it in my head like, oh, I'll work on something. It's just coming up with what that thing is, and then being able to double down on it for so long is just, I don't know.
So like, it's a new year, obviously a new decade, and everything is being automated away. Okay, even our cars, I promise you, in 5 years the driving is going to be automated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that early on during that process, people will probably have the ability to start pimping out their cars to make money before your car manufacturers just take over that entire industry. Make long story short, if there's anything that I think is going to be just wide open, it's going to be like figuring out how to profit off of this gig economy.
Well, we're already in the midst of that, though, aren't we?
Yeah, but we're only going to rely more and more on it. Okay. So, like, I don't know about the area that you live in. I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm willing to bet that, and I have no proof, but I feel as if there's less people going to college, or maybe graduating from college. And I'm willing to bet that if you're going to college for communications or psychology, which the majority of people are, and then they try to occupy Wall Street because they realize that they're not making any money, people are going to start resorting to the hospitality industry and the gig economy, because I'm not sure if they are able to develop the skills to really do anything within STEM, right? And so I feel pretty good about my decision about, this whole order fulfillment mobile thing, between like licensing the software infrastructure and being able to pivot to different business domains, dry cleaning, beach delivery. I'll probably come up with another one by the end of this session. Maybe you could consider how to build off of something that already exists. I don't know. I'm tired of talking about the code that I write, and you've been on this plateau, I think, for like 6 weeks now, at least. I think it's longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing with the gig economy stuff is that I feel like you really need to have I don't know how you would, I don't know how to get it. I don't know how we would get it. The critique I have for the whole thing from the beginning was I don't know how you get it started actually without a big injection of money for marketing and stuff like that. Because it's in a double-sided marketplaces are hard to do. So you have to have two sides, right? You have to have the end consumer and then the people to deliver. If you don't have anybody to deliver, you're not going to get anybody using it. If you don't have anyone using it, you're not going to get anyone to deliver. So it's really hard to kick up something like that. And that critique alone scares the crap out of me enough where I don't know that I would really even get into it. That doesn't mean there isn't money to be made there. It's just it's a long and arduous road. It's not the tech is hard, but it's not as hard as the actual business side of that type of a thing. That's why the dry cleaning bit for you I thought made a lot of sense, because it's there's a you would need people to do collections and stuff like that, but I mean you could technically find someone just in that area to do it on a regular basis or whatever. But you don't have to worry about you're basically replacing the dry cleaning business at that point. You're not just being a delivery person. That seems like the best idea that you've had for usage of it.
I just came up with a new one. You ready for this? I'm so smart. It's so brilliant. It sounds stupid. This is how good my idea is. How about, you ready for this? I have a mobile fuel delivery. So what it means is, instead of you having to go to the gas station in the morning, someone just sneaks up on your car based on your subscription, and they'll just add 5 gallons to your tank every day. That's it.
I guess if you have a tanker truck for gasoline.
No, if you commute every day, then like that's one thing you just don't have to worry about, especially if you're in a huge city that has hella traffic. You just don't have time to deal with the anxiety of, I got to get gas, whether you're going to or coming from. Oh, you don't get that part. I would do that. I mean, I would have to trust that they're putting the amount of money that I want into my thing. No, you don't like that?
I don't know. It's a problem I can't really relate to.
Yeah.
My commute's like 7 minutes, so or less, and it's pretty much straight away. That's a weird thing about like I said, living in a smaller town is that a lot of the problems that people face in kind of bigger cities, I just don't have them. Um, I know we did start getting grocery pickup and delivery here and some of the food delivery stuff, but and we do have a couple Lyft drivers that come into town on weekends to do Lyft, but I don't know.
So it's like now I'm just brainstorming, right? So like, yeah, you're white, so you watch like NASCAR, right?
No.
Okay. So like NASCAR, they make the pit stop and then they
Yeah.
quickly take off the tires and refuel and all that stuff. Like have a business where when it's like during rush hour, um, within the city intersections, you have people posted up on the medians with fuel, and you can hurry up and get fuel in your car because you're going to be sitting there in traffic anyway. That's dope, right? No?
Like the panhandlers
Yeah,
with
exactly.
a cardboard sign, gas for money.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about panhandlers, but I mean, down here, and if you go to like third world countries, you'll see the same thing where people are selling bouquets of flowers, they sell bottled water,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. In this case, we're selling a pit stop.
Yeah. The big problem with those ones are local ordinances. Basically keep people from doing anything like that. You can't even have a food truck in this town except for in very specific special zones with special permits, and they've got a specific number of permits that they issue out, and it's awful. They're not very friendly to people just trying to make a buck.
Okay.
They haven't yet. They're talking about ordinances now for Airbnb and VRBO stuff or VRBO.
They need to.
But I don't know. I don't think so. It's pretty well self-regulated. If you got a house you want to
Holy
share.
crap! I didn't know people could ask questions on here. Marco Bew, quick question to Scott. What goal are you trying? I didn't know people were even watching this. What goal are you trying to achieve when you're talking about a business? Is your goal more of a one-man show, or are you rather trying to land a job at a large company? So,
Oh yeah.
Marco, my goal is both political and also probably my last shot at being a successful entrepreneur. That's the short answer. The thing that I already knew that I'm starting to reap benefits from right now is I knew that if I continue to put one foot in front of the other in regards to like a fairly large scale project, that it will be automatically be part of my portfolio that I could brag about when interviewing at companies for large sums of money. And so that kind of worked out for me yesterday, right? So now, I mean, Sean will probably tell you that I was completely ignorant to Azure really like 2 months ago. And now I've been slowly, methodically grinding into it enough that I can have a reasonable, intelligent conversation about it, right? I'm still a beginner, but I can at least keep up in a conversation with someone that is probably somewhat advanced. Plus, it kind of helps that one of my mentors is an Azure MVP and certified with Azure. But so the goal is to make money as an entrepreneur, but because the probability of that coming true is extremely low, and I'm just being real, just being able to carve out my spot where I could still make a large amount of money, because the barriers to entry for just building mobile apps there's almost no barriers. I'm competing with like literally other like third world countries that have been able to I can't really hate on them, do business in the United States. And so now like people are questioning my hourly rate, and the only way to like increase my hourly rate or even maintain it and be consistently employed is to step up my game and operate as a solutions integrator versus just a very competent heads down coder. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I tried to. And then he says, believe it or not, I watched most of your buyers episode. Buyer?
Guys.
Oh,
Guys
okay.
is, yeah, he corrected himself. I can see the comments
Okay.
now.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Have you thought about, it's something I just thought about while you're saying that is, have you thought about if you get this all hooked up and stuff, trying to find an entrepreneur who's trying to get into the gig economy space and actually just try to sell the tech as an out of the box, here you're licensed, you can have this for this sum of money?
The short answer is my end goal, if I continue making progress, is within 18 months have two businesses, regardless of if they make money or not, stand up on their own, right? Regardless of if they make money, have dry cleaning and have a beach delivery. And then the third channel of income would be to license the software. But I haven't actively, targeted specific organizations or people to do that. I did reach out to one of my favorite developers in Nigeria to say, hey, I got a lot of this infrastructure written already. I'm going to come to you again. I came to you like 2 times already. I'm going to come to you again and say, do you want to leverage what I have and build something out of it or extend what I already have? Right. And the majority of people will say, yeah. But it's really hard to get them to commit. And when I say commit, I mean over time, they're still delivering value. So that's the thing. It's hard to. There's someone that's 5 minutes down from me, and I think you already know about him. He's building his software for homeschooling, and
Yeah.
so he's more aggressive than I am when it comes to coding every day. But there's just not a lot of people that will work a 9 to 5 and every day commit to their own dream, right?
It's hard, especially if you got kids.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and other hobbies and all of that. Because the amount of attention span it takes to sit there and do that and put on your different hats is crazy. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, that if you can't get the business end sparked up, you might actually just try to sell the tech outright and be like, look, this is a packaged solution as a starting point for whatever. Because somebody who's trying to get a head start on a startup idea like that and has some measure of funding might be able to toss you, I don't know how much it would be worth.
Yeah.
A year's salary. Who knows?
I was a couple of days ago, I was at a hood car show, and I ended up buying some ribs from some guys on the corner, and everybody has an idea for an app. Have you noticed that? Have you had random strangers, once they find out what you do, they have this idea for a website that they want, then they ask you how much it's going to cost, as if it's going to be $1,000 or something.
Oh.
And I'll be like, yo, I mean, the answer is it depends, but more than likely for whatever you want, it's probably going to be $60,000 or $100,000. And then you just see them deflate,
Oh.
Yeah. And they're like, well, and I was like, then I charge by the hour. And they're like, well, what do you charge by the hour? I'm like, $95 an hour. And they're like, oh, well, you don't even know what I want you to do. I'm like, okay, it's still $95 an hour. And chances are, whatever you want me to do, it's probably going to take a while for me to actually build it, deploy it, and monitor it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying is if you could find somebody who's trying to like not developers, but actual business people or entrepreneur people that are trying to kick up something like that that have money to spend and are starting off and they're
Um,
looking for something they're looking to build up the tech quick. And
so here's the thing. So the United States is not first, right? The United States, like compared to like European countries and like South Korea and Japan and all that stuff, like we're laggards. We really are. Right? The media wants to act like we're not, but like once you travel, like we're behind. But when I lived in the Philippines, I realized that the Philippines was like 3 years behind the United States when it came to like innovation or lifestyle.
Mhm.
I say all this because I think if I'm really going to do this full throttle, I think I'm going to have to set up shop for about 3 months in a third world country and introduce that tech and and get some because there's expats everywhere.
Yeah.
Most expats, I would argue, are entrepreneurs, right? And so maybe go back to the Philippines or go to Vietnam, or I don't know how advanced Vietnam is, but the Philippines definitely is behind the times. Go over there and see if because these islands, they'll have like 20 million people distributed across like 4 islands, and see if I could establish some businesses there with some entrepreneurs where there's almost no competition, right? Just because there are barriers to entry, and maybe I could start there to try to license the software for people that are serious about making money because there's very few competitors or even people that have the background to even build that type of infrastructure.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that would be a good place to start. Yeah. I mean, the market here is saturated for sure. I think. Said I don't know what the likelihood that especially like a food thing. I mean that there's dozens of companies doing that. Not to the beach that I know of, but if not, it's a matter of time before they're like, look, we now do beach delivery too. Um, but but yeah, I mean, if this isn't taken off there, and the only barrier is just isn't legal, it isn't a legal barrier, then you might be onto something. So, assuming that the rest of the tech that's needed is there as far as everyone's got cell phones and transport and all that. So,
Yeah.
which I assume they do. I just never been to the Philippines, so
You sound like you're tapping out.
tapping out of what the conversation? No, I'm keep looking over at. But you would need that 1 in a million niche idea and then actually convince them to invest. I don't know what that was in regards to.
I think when you're saying that go overseas where there's less competition or no competition at all,
Yeah.
and pitch to some expats or entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I don't think you need a 1 in a million niche idea. Um, like I say it like it's a saturated thing is a bad thing, but having competition is usually a good thing. I just don't know about these double-sided marketplaces because it costs a lot to get the two sides going. Is my understanding about double-sided marketplaces. It's not something I would take on, but like I said, if you can find somebody who's well funded who is going to be taking on it and pitch to say, here's the software, I'll give you this already written code that does essentially what you need it to do, and you could start first initial implementation tomorrow, I mean, that might be worth, like you said, 100 grand or whatever. Just here, one lump sum, buy it from me outright. Software's yours.
I mean, that's the acquisition. I was thinking about just licensing out that code as infrastructure for like 100 or 200 a month.
Yeah. You could license it out as thinking of starting a gig economy business. We give you the software to do it.
I mean, but if I'm not doing it, someone is. Like, seriously, that's where this world is going, man.
Yeah.
You're about to have 100. You're gonna have probably 5 million truck drivers be unemployed probably after like 5 years. Like, it's going there. The world is being automated. If you don't have a skill, then good luck.
Most truck drivers, or you're talking semi-truck drivers?
Yeah.
So most semi-truck drivers already are essentially gig economy. They're all independent contractors. They own their truck. That's their business.
Well, they're not. But I mean,
big ass barrier to entry to that. So,
but you understand what I'm saying, though. But you have to feed a trucker. A trucker, there's regulations for the amount of time that a trucker can spend driving, right?
Yeah, you're talking about automated vehicle delivery. Yeah.
Like, in 5 years, like, they're going to have to learn something else, or they're going to have to like make enough money that they could just retire and just be a investor or something, make their money off of their investments. Unless politicians enforce that jobs that can be automated won't be automated, and they do that, which could happen, but it won't be sustainable.
I don't think it'll be 5 years for truck drivers. There's a lot that I could see them being augmented. I don't think I could see them being outright. There's no need for a truck driver driving. I could see them, being like, well, you've got a automated deal for when you would normally be driving. It'll drive itself, but you still have to be there to kind of monitor the situation and whatever. I can see them getting to that point, which is where some of the cars are at now, but I can't see them getting replaced.
You do realize how fierce the competition is right now to get automated vehicles. You realize how many players are in that game right now.
Yeah, and it's a hard problem to solve.
With emphasis on competition, in 5 years, like, the world is going to change a lot because there's so many people with billions of dollars invested. People are racing to be first, right? And they're going to pretty much their prices for their solutions, because they're competing, are going to like kind of be like cloud computing and keep going lower and lower. I mean, that's what I forecast. As Marco saying, and I'm about to hop off and very soon. But taking the beach delivery app example, what would convince an investor to not rather place his bet on the existing platform? Honestly, I mean, I haven't done a lot of research, but I don't know what outside of Google Maps. I mean, I haven't even researched what platforms are even available for someone to purchase for harnessing mobile logistics and coupled with order fulfillment. Honestly, I never Googled it. I could, but I'm not aware of any solutions that are out there right now. I'm sure that there may be something out there, but I can almost guarantee that there's not that many players in it. So
it's a hard problem to solve.
I could be wrong. I underestimated that domain, and I've been writing code since April. Now, I mean, I don't write code 8 hours a day. I do it like 2 hours a day, every single day. But there's a lot of moving pieces on the client side. There's a lot of moving pieces on the server side. And you still got to harden that stuff, make it resilient and production ready. So, I mean, yeah, to be honest, I haven't really researched the market in regards to who actually provides the solutions and what those solutions look like. But I feel reasonably confident that it's not that many players out there. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times. So, all right, I'm tapping out now.
Gotcha. I'm just gonna go back to making game boxes. Call that a day. Then I'll have something to talk about.
Did you get any feedback from that?
No, but the thing is, I didn't push it hard. Like, I know what I'd have to do in that realm, but I don't know. It's a skill I haven't utilized in terms of actually marketing and trying to get and collect money from people. Like in this case, building the tech is something that I'm comfortable with. I can do. It's challenging in terms of deciding how things should look and how interact and all that stuff. But the actual thing of setting up and say, here, somebody come check out and give me money for this thing, and then hope that they actually like what I send them. That's the bit that's really uncomfortable and hard to get through. So I don't know. There still might be a market for that. I don't know if there would be enough where I'd be able to make money or if it'd be scalable. I don't know. And I don't know what it could lead to, but I didn't think it was a bad idea per se. It's just, yeah.
I also thought about building a escort service app for cruise lines.
I don't know what maritime law says about that, so maybe you'd be fine. Who knows?
I mean, technically they're offshore, but IDK. Yeah. One would argue it's an American asset. I don't know. I could probably guarantee that I'm not going to work on it, but it would be hella convenient, just for the clientele that go on cruise lines, right? It's like, it's usually, I would guess it's seniors, right? So, and I could frame it as massage therapists, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
The feds will raid it because it's offshore, and then I do 30 years in prison.
Yeah. Next, you'll say you'll start delivering. You'll just set up a mail you drugs, mail you marijuana service from states that are legal to states that are not legal. So.
Yeah. All right, I'm tapping out. I'm about to transition to my actual part-time job.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, I better get running here too. Thanks for watching, Marco. So
yeah, thanks. I didn't know people actually watched, and I got blown away when someone actually asked a question. So
yeah, I know people are watching it. The pressure's turned up to actually do something interesting next week. So,
quick question. All right, we got 2 more minutes. All right. Does your organization, how do I say this? Do they build in payment of technical debt into their sprints?
They used to, but we're kind of in the taking out debt phase right now because we're trying to release a big chunk of software. So it's kind of one of these things where the deadline is there. We're going to go one way or the other. So it's do what it takes to get it out kind of a situation right now, which is probably well overdue. But prior to that, in the old system, that drawing down technical debt and trying to clean things up was kind of one of their bigger initiatives. And there was supposed to be like 20% of your time every sprint was supposed to be a tech debt related to tech debt cleanup stories. So I don't know if that their culture's changed a lot in the last few years. So I don't know if that will continue to be a focus or not, but yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. Take care. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Yep. You too.
All right. See you, Marco. Bye.